Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
We're watching Fanboy.
Fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
I assume Tom.
Elaha, Roya, it is great to chat with you about Rule Breakers. I was excited for the film. When this movie about, obviously for people from the Middle East and Central Asia, engineering is our entire identity. If we're not an engineer, we're either a doctor, a lawyer, or the shame of the family.
That was true.
No, it's true. I'm the shame of the family.
True. Yeah.
So, the education is so important, especially to us, when it's finally allowed in Afghanistan that women are allowed to be educated. And there's still the fear of the fathers that clearly show throughout the film, yet are allowing that door to open. How exciting is it for you to get the title, well, really, Agha Mohandes?
I mean, it's as you say, like it's very important in our culture to be engineers or doctors. So, like for our family, they're obviously very proud to have that we study like computer science and all that. So yeah, no, it's just like feel accomplishing and feel great to be in such a a field that is not like presented much about women are not presented. So yeah, no, it's just like I'm glad we both pursue computer science, and today we are where we are because of that.
And my father was an engineer, so all my brother and sister, we are like 7 children, and 6 of us are engineer. So either the civil engineer,
and one's a doctor.
And then the one actually went to becoming a nurse, and that was something that my father still preferred, that she become either a doctor or be an engineer. But
and 3 of my brothers are civil engineer, by the way. So.
My father was a civil engineer, so I know it very well. Elaha, you co-wrote this film. It's autobiographical on your lives. It's a biopic. When you went through it the first time and you lived it, and now you're putting it on screen for the world to see in a dramatic performance rather than a documentary. How excited is it for you to go from women weren't allowed to read and write in Afghanistan, the education was forbidden, to now the door being open and allowed to become an engineer, to now even being a writer of a film?
It's so honoring, so amazing for me to see that, because for all this time, I always were hoped that why we don't have a positive movie about Afghanistan, because there were so much great things were happening last 20 years in Afghanistan. There was so much development. There young generation who were so hungry for success, and they really wanted to create amazing things, right? And we never see that in the media, basically. So for me, it's so personal, so close to my heart, that I was being able to, through this movie, show that part that never been seen before in Afghanistan, and especially tell the story of the work that we have done in Afghanistan, and show the journey of these girls, and all the challenges and complexity of that experience, to bring to world, and everybody be able to see it. So super exciting, super honored to be part of this movie, to amplify their voices, and making sure that people know what happened in Afghanistan and how amazing and exciting it was during the time that girls were allowed to go to work and study, and especially right now that they cannot. So I'm really hoping that this movie actually help to raise awareness about the situation in Afghanistan, and people work toward just toward pressuring more Taliban, and not letting them to keep ignoring women in Afghanistan. So
in your life, you came to America for this competition in robotics. From a personal note, I want to know, what was the first American thing that you did when you got here?
Well, I came to the US the first time. It was in 2009. I got the visa to come, and obviously it was really shock of the culture. But it was interesting for me that I came into a State Department program, and we were going to people's house, and they inviting a stranger in their house, and they hosting them. I think that was for me interesting, because in our culture, obviously, we call ourselves very hospitals, but we don't invite just someone randomly in our house. So I think that was interesting that I learned here. And yeah, no, every state was different than the other state. So I think that I could say. And I kind of get in love with US, and then coming back to Afghanistan. And I also learned that many of the entrepreneurs are giving back to their communities in the United States. When I came back, when we started the company in 2010, we decided to become the social entrepreneur. And whatever we're making money with our companies, we're giving back to community by building the IT centers and giving the opportunities to their girls. I think that another thing that I learned, the first thing in the US, is about entrepreneurship and how much support are here. So I think that was another thing that I learned from here, from the first time that I came.
Yeah, your story is so fantastic, and I'm glad that Angel Studios is putting out a film about something that it's not like, you know, the Muslim wife crying for her husband that's going to end up in paradise next week for whatever mission he's going on. You know, it's an important story that you're telling. It's your life story. The concerns of the fathers is very important. People think, oh, the father is being tyrannical, but he's really taking care of his daughter. What is it like for your father now to see the movie as a dramatized film rather than, you know, because obviously he lived it with you the first time, but now to see someone portray him, and also for yourselves to see actors portray you, how much of it is, I wouldn't necessarily do that, and then allowing the actresses to perform?
Well, I think that watching our journey through this film come to the life, it's both, you know, it's very personal, and then also, I guess that is emotional. Obviously, this is a version of like fictionalized version of our lives, but there are, you know, there are seconds of the film that they capture from the real events, that the things that is happening in our life, from the struggle, doubt. I think they took great jobs in capturing those moments of our life, the victories and the determination that define our paths. And I think that you know, watching that, it's like we bring it back into the memories of the challenges that we face, or the, you know, inspiring moment that we had in our lives. And I think my father is proud of that. I mean, he is proud of us, and if it wasn't because of his support, I don't think that either of us could get anywhere. You know, that in becoming from a culture that it's very important to have the support of your father. And I'm coming from a family of 7 children, that 4 of them are we have brothers, and obviously brothers is always sometimes overprotective of their sisters in our communities. And I think that it was obviously my father's support that we could get a lot of doors open for us. And you know, watching this film is both humbling and overwhelming. It's reflecting how far we came, and how much more work is needed to be done to making sure that the girls everywhere have access to quality of education, and especially opportunities in STEM. This movie is not only about our lives. I think the movie is about the girls who have a dream, dare to dream beyond the limitation that imposed on them.
I'm going to leave you with this because I know we're running out of time. If there's one thing that you would love the West to learn about Afghanistan, whether it's cultural, whether it's historical, food, whatever it is, what's the one thing that you would love the West to learn to appreciate about Afghani culture?
I think the most important thing is, like, again, as I say, like, what you see about Afghanistan is all about war and conflict, which is not true. And the woman always portrayed as a victim of war. And instead, I really want, like, you know, that they see that these women actually had big dreams. They actually worked toward it, and they are actually innovators and change maker if the opportunity, you know, present to them. And yeah, I just want to see this new part, this part that, like, young generation in Afghanistan are full of dreams. They are like, they really work hard toward it. And like, if we had the opportunity to continuously have that development, I think things would have changed so much in Afghanistan. But yeah, so.
Yeah, I think that's the same. And the women in the last 20 years was the golden era, I always say, of Afghanistan. And the lots of the women could go to the schools, get educated. We had a lot of female professors, we had the doctors, we had engineers, we had the business women. We had a lot of policymakers. You know, we were very proud that our parliament, I think more than 35% were female. And we had female ministers and women as ministers of technology, the technology. And a lot of women who do a lot of like great things in the community, which usually the media is failed to mention about that part. But another aspect I also want to mention that not all men in Afghanistan are against of the women's education. Like my father, there are thousands and hundreds of the men who support, or maybe more than that, they support the girls' educations and they support their women, either their wife or they respect their mothers. What you see today as a regime who coming in a power, there are a small group of the conservative and extremists that get in the power, and obviously extremists always patrioted the culture in different way, the way that it's going to be a tools for their own propaganda. And they are in charge because they have access to the, you know, billions of dollar war arms, and they have money, and that's the reason. Otherwise, I think that the loss of the Afghan men has been changed. They start to support their children and their daughters.
Ladies, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for sharing your story in the biopic Rule Breakers. Elaha, Roya, thank you so much. Listen, enjoy your afternoon, and I know you got 8 more of these, so thank you, and I appreciate
Thank you
your
for your
time.
time.
Thank you for your time.